Hi everybody, good Saturday. So we are going to start with a little review about what you checked the other class, the first class, which is about the first part of Unit 9. Okay, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm sorry if you listen to some different noise of the street, but I'm in my house. In a time that there's no noise because I live in a main avenue, so sorry for that. I hope you understand it clear. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me in a comment here in Google Classroom, or you can send me a message on WhatsApp. Okay? So we're going to start. As you check in Unit 9, we start having different cities. For example, here in my video, you have New York, London, Paris, many of them. Some of you maybe prefer Tokyo. Some of you maybe prefer Paris. Okay? But this is because we have different tastes, different preferences. So when we choose what we like or not, we make a little comparison, okay? Because we want to check what's better for us. And that's what we are going to check precisely. How to compare. Okay, so here we have two cities. For example, London and Paris. For me, as my point of view, London is bigger than Paris, but Paris is more romantic than London. We have here a little comparison between two cities, as I told you. But how do I form this comparison? Here in this one, you can check it. You have London and Paris at the beginning and London and Paris at the end, because you have, in comparison, two different objects. Two objects to compare, okay? But in the middle, you have the comparison idea. So it says London, or any object, first object number 1, plus our verb be, plus our adjective. In this case, you have them underlined in green, bigger and romantic. And then you have then. And at the end, you have your object number 2. Okay, this is because it is formed between two objects and a comparison idea, as I already told you. Okay, so how do you form this one? Just respecting this structure. Object number 1, verb be, adjective, than, and my object number 2. We have different rules to create those different adjectives in a way as a comparison. That's what we call comparatives. And you make it in different ways. And this one, this is my rule number 1, which is about the one-syllable adjectives. For example, cheap or sweet. If you have them in a normal way, they are like this. But when you change it into a comparative, what you have to adjust is at the end, ER. For example, cheap, cheaper, sweet, sweeter. That's the only thing that you have to do, add ER, because it's a one-syllable adjective. An important thing that you have to understand here is that syllables in English are different than in Spanish. In Spanish, if you say, for example, perro, you have two syllables, perro, and just that. But in English, it's not like this. In English, it's not what you see, it's what you pronounce. Okay, we're going to check it with another example because those one are one syllable, okay? But the important here is that you have to understand that they are different, okay? For example, cheap, one syllable, sweet, one syllable. Okay, so you just add ER at the end to compare. But there is an exception, or not an exception, a specific rule. When you have short one-syllable adjectives like thin or big, you have to make something different, like as you can see in the picture. So you say thin, thinner, big, bigger, but with double N and with double G. Why is this important? Because we are following other rule. In the same rule to add ER, we have this variation, okay? How are you going to check this variation? If you check thin, at the end of the one-syllable adjective, you have HIN, which is consonant H, vowel I, N, consonant. So consonant, vowel, consonant. And in big is happening the same. B-I-G. Consonant, vowel, consonant. So when you have this in an adjective, what you have to do is to double the last consonant, as you said. Thin, thinner, double N, big, bigger, double G. And that's the only rule that you have to follow it. Okay? But just when my adjective, it's one syllable and finishes in the consonant, vowel, consonant. Okay? That's why not happen with cheap or with sweet. That's my rule number 1. In my rule number 2, I have a rule for those adjectives that are 2 syllables but finishes in Y. For example, lucky or pretty. What happened? That you have luckier and prettier, but you don't have Y anymore. Now what you have is I-E-R. So you say lucky, luckier, pretty, prettier. Okay, so please pay attention on that one because it is important to remember that when you have Y, you omit it and you add I-E-R. Okay, that's my rule number 2. And then I have my rule number 3, which is for the adjectives that finishes in ed as worried, in ing as boring, in full like careful, or in less like useless. And the only thing that you have to do is that at the beginning you have to add more. Not at the end, just at the beginning, okay? And just more. For example, worried, more worried. Boring, more boring. Careful, more careful. Useless, more useless. Okay? You don't have to say, for example, worried, more worried there. No. Okay? If you use more, it's because it's a big adjective. If you add er, it's because it's one syllable adjective. Okay? Not 2 rules, just 1. So this is going to happen with 2 syllables or more. If you remember, I told you that syllables in English and Spanish are different. This one, it's a clear example. For example, in careful. Okay, if you see the word careful, which is the third one, you can see careful if you think it in Spanish. But you don't say careful, okay? So you say careful. You have 2 different syllables, not 3. Okay, so you have to pay attention on your pronunciation in order to understand how many syllables do you have in an adjective. Okay, that's for my rule number 3. Add more at the beginning and nothing at the end. I respect my adjective. But also we have irregular adjectives, okay? Sorry for my mistake there, I corrected. And my irregular adjectives, you don't have rules. As you remember, those are our kind of enemies, okay? Because there is nothing to follow. You just have to remember them. The good thing here is that they are just 3. Good, which is better, bad, which is worse, and far, which is further. Good, better, bad, worse, far, further. And this is the different form. Okay, the normal part and the comparative part. You just have to remember them. Okay, so remember that these comparatives help us to make a comparison, as the name says, between 2 things, objects, nouns in general, with a main idea of comparison. Okay, and for example, as we check in the example, we have it here. No, London is bigger than Paris, and Paris is more romantic than London. And if you check, I am following the rule. Big, double G, because it's short and consonant, vowel, consonant, bigger. And romantic, 3 syllables. Okay, I have to add more. So it's more romantic than London. I'm following my rules. That's what I'm doing. Okay? But also, you can add a kind of emphasis. You can emphasize your idea. For example, in here, you have Dubai is much more modern than Argentina. Or Mexico City is much busier than Monterrey. Okay, I am continuing with the ideas about countries and cities. Okay, so in this one, what you have to check is that I am not just comparing, Like, si esto es más que esto. Estoy diciendo que incluso es mucho más. It's much more. Okay, so it helps me to give emphasis to my idea. Okay, I can say Dubai is more modern than Argentina. Yeah, of course, and it's correct. Or Mexico City is busier than Monterrey. Yeah, of course. But if I want to show that I know English and that I want to emphasize Dubai in Mexico City, it's better to, or it's good to add this much. Dubai is much more modern than Argentina, or Mexico City it's much busier. Okay, I decided to write one with more and the other with ER because you have to remember that it doesn't matter, or to check that it doesn't matter if it is a long adjective like modern, much more modern, or if it is short like busier, much busier. You respect it the same. First object, then my verb, then if I want, it's not necessary, but you can write much, then your adjective in comparative, then than, and then your object number 2. Okay, I hope you didn't have doubts with this. It's a comparison part, your comparative ideas. So if you have a doubt, you can ask me here. Okay, with this topic, you have to complete your student's book, the pages number 70 and 71. Okay, the idea is the same, cities and comparative ideas on this. Okay, so please complete 70 and 71 pages, please. And in your workbook, I need you to do page 55. Okay, 70 and 71 of your student's book and 55 of your workbook. All of this is an activity about comparison. Okay, comparative sentences. That's the first exercise you're going to do. But this is not just about your exercise. You are going to have a little homework. Okay? The first homework for this course with me as your teacher, you have to send me a video with your beautiful and handsome faces. Okay, what do you have to do? You have to take your phone and start speaking about what you like in different cities. Okay, no, not just about cities, a comparison. If you want to continue about talking about cities, it's okay. If you say, no, I prefer this one because it's much more modern, as the example. It's much more romantic, whatever. Okay, but you need to make this comparison. You can compare cities, countries, or artists, singers, music. I don't have a problem. What I want you to do is to give me a speaking video with these ideas of comparison. Okay, please. I want to send me this video. You have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Okay, I'm gonna give you those days to send me your homework. So remember, until Wednesday. Please don't forget that. Okay?